take that as you will. Again, it's way too early. I understand that it's over the top, but when we're in talking season, you want to get a gauge. This, in my opinion, is a non-biased view of the Florida Gators, and does it have any nutritional value to it? No, not at all. I mean, we realize it doesn't mean anything. But look, I think, it's always cool. I think a good show would be to look like, hey, what was the way too early for last year and how did it end up? Or what was the accuracy of it? Again, injuries, all these things occur. I mean, FSU, I think, was a top 6 team. And we realize how that thing unfolded. I mean, that thing was egregious on how it unwrapped. Clemson, I think, was a top 25 team. They get absolutely obliterated by Georgia, come falling back, make a surcharge at the end. Colorado was in the top 25. They make a surge towards the end. Nebraska, I don't think, was in it, or maybe they were close. They make a big push. Arizona State obviously wasn't in the conversation. Now here they are starting next year. Illinois, another one. Indiana, another one. So, of course, these teams have, worked their way up to the top. UNLV is another one. But UNLV has had good seasons leading up to this, even before Dan Mullen got there. But I think there probably is some anticipation that they will continue to thrive and do great things under their new hierarchy with Dan Mullen. So I like it. It excites me. There is high expectation going into next season. We've talked about it, and this just kind of puts the nail on the hammer of, like, we have the high expectations. The outside beat writers have high expectations. I think a really true gauge of what people are going to be looking for is after that SEC week, right? That's when those things really come out. They have the interviews, they talk with the coaches, and it's weird, but I mean, that kind of gives these writers and people who cover the sport a gauge of how they feel the SEC will unfold given these interviews and given their questions of the players. I'm never a huge fan of them. Again, Auburn has always been, in my opinion, weighted way too high. Look, Auburn's coming to this thing at a top 22. I don't know why that's one team that doesn't give me any reason to believe. They didn't show me any signs. I know they're going to say, well, this, and this. I'm not a believer. Texas Tech did some masterful things in the portal. That's why they're up there. Michigan, I think Michigan will be actually a true legitimate threat. I think that's a perfect spot. I think South Carolina is going to be a threat next year. We looked at the schedule. LSU concerns me. Those are one of the games that scares me more than I think scares me the most. Given it's on the road, Garrett Nussmeier's coming back. They did a great job in the transfer portal thus far at LSU. Now, will it fit? Will it come together? That's always the question mark with the transfer portal. You don't know. Can we catch LSU early and pull an upset? Absolutely. I'll get to give you a good gauge on the first 2 games, but also USF Long Island. We're not tested. We're not going to be, have a true grasp of what's going into it. But we know this team, I think, well enough to see, does it show the same tendencies? I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but we'll see. We'll see. What's going on here? Okay. Go Gators, boys and girls. Good to see you. Happy to have you here. We got 231 strong, and we're feeling pretty good about it. So, pretty great stuff with the way too early top 25. Will these things change? We'll see on how it, again, all unfolds once the portal comes to a close. And again, coaching hires. And speaking of coaching hires, Jaluk is back for a 2-year extension. This, to me, was with the guys that are up for expiration. We'll talk about the other names here. We'll go over those first. Again, what's left that has not been signed, which, again, are set to expire on the 31st. So none of these deals technically have expired, but that doesn't mean you can't have conversations of trying to extend them. One being Billy Gonzalez, the wide receiver coach. I've kind of given my thoughts on that, given just kind of the noise with Doker coming out of, could he be the next predecessor stepping in? I don't know. I have nothing. Love Billy, but just thinking about it out loud. Rob Sale, another big one here, but he's been on the recruiting trail. Got to think he's coming back. Well, he can maintain co-offensive coordinator as a title. Those are question marks we don't know. So those are 2. Tyler Miles, which I really hope I would like for that announcement to come back. Maybe I know they've been working out this week. I'd imagine there's probably a presser coming up in the next couple of weeks or days, if you will, and maybe we'll get a little bit of insight towards where we're moving on that. I think Callaway was the other one. Russ. And I think that's it. And then, of course, Coach Jaluk. And again, at the top of my list was getting Jaluk back. I didn't see any details of what he's being paid, but I hope the man was well taken care of. And again, this was the first order of business to get done, and I'm glad we were able to get it done. This young man has been an absolute steal. I think he's done a phenomenal job with not only producing and developing these running backs, but also just finding these diamonds in the rough. Again, we go back to Jaden Ball. The guy was being looked at as a linebacker, 3-star, not even on your radar, and obviously just hits the ground running and does some incredible things. Longshot Trayon Webb has really put on a ton of weight. Looks fantastic. And again, Trevor Etienne, another one. We saw kind of the what he was able to do the 2 years under Jaluk. Goes to Georgia, deals with some injuries, deals with a new team offensive line. Doesn't have the same success. You do with what you will with that, but you got to think Jaluk definitely, provides a lot of value. And again, I think with where this team is headed, he was a piece that you needed to maintain, especially. Look, I know we're adding a lot of weapons, but this team is still going to be run heavy. This team still has an identity of being able to run the ball effectively and efficiently, whether it's the quarterback or the running back. The stability of their O-line coming back is absolutely massive. All these things excite me very much, very much. Absolutely, boys. Drop a like. Call me old fashioned. What's up? Shout out to the man. Hey, boys, if you all love good old fashioned, my boys are on the way to 2,000 subs. So go give that man a sub. Guy does a phenomenal job reviewing the Bourbon-esque. I might be making a cameo there sometime this week, getting absolutely blasted as we do on that show. Usually he kind of reels me in and suckers me in and gets me absolutely drunk. So big pickup there again with Mr. Jaluk. And then, of course, some big-time exciting news. 2026, we've talked about it, and I will always make sure that I reiterate this because 2026 seems so far away. And it is. By golly, is it far? But it's important to get the ball rolling as we're all very aware for getting guys to commit. And crystal ball comes flying through from Malik Morris. He's on ESPN Rivals, the second-rated highest linebacker on 3 and 247, 15, 26. Top 200 player, 6'1", 225. Crystal ball right now, but it was between, his top offers were Miami, Florida, USF, Oregon, and Tennessee. So being able to pull one off there. Again, he's close to USF Tampa boy. From Lakeland, closer to Tampa, but 114 miles away from Florida. So keeping the talent in-house. And again, I feel like we're really kind of making a turn for linebacker and bringing in some top talent. So this excites me on another one. There was another linebacker, too, that I saw that Florida was trending heavily for. And Billy was visiting 2 massive defensive linemen today, 4-star guys. The number 1 defensive lineman per on 3 and 247. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Again, those visiting, doing those things, I don't get too worked up about. Crystal balls, though, and it was a fawn bomb, do excite me. Could this be the next big commit for the 2026 class? And let's take a look at that 2026 class. As of now, I know Will Harris obviously being a big one. Jalen Waters, we rank 11th currently, which is great. Excuse me, that's 2026 or 5. So we rank 14th. Not too shabby. Will Griffin, Jalen Waters, top tier cornerback. Keep an eye on him. He could be somebody that surges to a 5-star maybe by the end of the year. And then Devin Jackson, 6'2", 3-star safety. He tweeted some stuff the other day. I'm interested to see how that goes. I don't remember Devin Jackson committing. I saw that he posted something like the price just went up, and I didn't know what that meant. And I'm following him, but I'm drawing a blank when this young man committed. I got to be perfectly honest with you. So, look, I think this is when we landed Jalen Wiggins was right around this time. I would like for us to roll into kind of that April, May with a couple more commits than we did last year. So we can get Malik Morris and continue to build on that. Those things would excite me. And again, I think how the cornerback play, the linebacker play, and the defensive lineman play last year really has to speak to recruits, and just getting guys in early and very young is something that has got to be appealing to these recruits very much so. Even though, again, I don't feel like we're in that world of, hey, we're starting the new guys because we're trying to figure things out. No. We're cooking. But we still, if you're good enough and you can play, and we believe that you have the talent to be here, you will be effective immediately. So great stuff there with Malik Morris. Now, also too, what happened today. Look, a lot of news happening today. I kind of had a feeling we would start to pick up some things with the end of the month coming to a close, with those contracts expiring. The portal, in a sense, should be wrapping up because guys need to get on campus. That's the part that is confusing to me of how can they enroll if they're not there yet. This young man, Harrison Bailey, 6'5", 230, senior quarterback. Look, he ain't somebody who look at the stat sheet that's going to get you all fired up. All right, let's keep it a buck with you. But we know, obviously, with losing Deshaun Purdy, that a backup quarterback is at the top of the list. Personally, I think it's Jaluk and backup quarterback were the number 2 things I think they needed to do in this offseason. We had it, thought we were rocking and rolling, lose Deshaun Purdy, and now we moved on to Harrison Bailey. Not much playing time. let's just keep it honest with you. Played a little bit this past year, went for 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. Played the Washington game, went 16 for 25, 3 touchdowns, and 164 yards. But before that, the guy was 2 for 2 or 3, 2 for 2 and 8 for 8, or 6 for 6 and 2 for 2 in a game. So for 63 yards, look, we need it. We need a guy back there that if something were to happen, you can kind of facilitate and plug in. He's throwing right now. What that means, I don't know. We were talking smack about it in the Discord. Now you know why he's there throwing. They ain't got much film on him throwing the football. So yeah, let's come see this kid throw the rock a little bit and sling it around. So we'll see. Who knows if he comes in and is a legitimate guy. We brought in the Clay Millen guy last year from Colorado State, and he got beat by Warner, the walk-on for the kid from Yale. So I don't know if he's going to be anything efficient. Just letting you know this is, where we're at with things in the quarterback room. So at least they're trying something. Yeah, linebacker position is looking strong. Linebacker U really has me fired up and feeling pretty good about where we're headed with some things. And again, being crystal ball for one that early makes me feel really good. Now, the other news that we'll kind of go over here, assistant coach Green for the Florida Gators basketball team. We mentioned at the top of the show. I don't know if I can say this on YouTube. Essay, sexual. You guys can fill out the rest. He's been accused of that. The Zach Alberverdi article on On3 here says the woman who will remain anonymous in the complaint is accused of Green of arranging a meeting with her in the athletic facilities where he allegedly kissed her and tried to put his hands down her pants, according to the report. Not a good look. Obviously, given the current circumstances with Todd Golden. Now, I feel like that's been kind of hushed and pushed to the side. And I go, if there's some legitimate smoke here, you got to believe that Florida and others will take action, and there hasn't been. And he even had a statement on it, so it made me feel like, okay, they feel pretty confident in their stance on it, which that was promising. But now you never want this thing to kind of leak out. Could it be just a coincidence, right? But who knows? Who knows? Nothing you really, really want around the program, especially with the trajectory. And again, with already your head coach having these issues, this is definitely the last thing that you needed. So we'll monitor this situation. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how Florida responds with this one. Again, a big game on Saturday. I'm sure we'll have an announcement probably before then. I thought we would last time. We did not. So again, Florida, when asked, they said we can't speak on it legally. The Title IX protects them from being able to talk about it. So I don't know. These things are not fun for me to talk about. So I really don't, it's not like it's not sports. I don't have an opinion about it. It's just reporting. So that's all there is to really talk about that. Quick shout out to our man, Zach Goodall. Zach Goodall has been on this show a couple of times. Obviously, we know he left last year, went to the Jacksonville Jaguars to follow them. He's back, boys, working for 247 Sports. So we've got on 3 guys. We've got Sports Illustrated with Cam Parker. Now we've got Zach. I love having kind of just guys that talk to from multiple different angles because they talk to different people, have different perspectives on these things. And Zach has always been a catalyst of this show and so fantastic. So really excited to have him back on our side. I wanted to have him on tonight, but he's like, man, I'm hitting the ground running. I got a lot to go on. So we'll have him on very shortly. Very soon, very shortly. Incredible guy. So happy for him. I followed him while he was obviously covering the Jags, so that was still cool, close to home, but very pumped to have him back. He was giving Doug Peterson the smoke there a little bit. Scared me on re-sign. Yeah, I posted earlier. I don't know what people kind of got scared with that. That re-sign is, well, I guess if you don't want a certain person to be re-signed, I guess you could be a little concerned with that. But no, Coach Jaluka is coming back, and those are all good things. Those are all things to be very, very excited about and pumped up. So give me your thoughts on this too in the comment section down below on the way too early top 25. Want to get your thoughts and opinions about that. Where do you not care because it is way too early? But again, from looking from a non-biased perspective, this is how others are starting to view this team, and that's where you should be excited because our expectations are lining up with the experts and the non-fan bases of what Florida should be this year. Again, I think when we say, hey, it's a playoff or bust, I don't feel like we're overreaching. I don't feel like we're being, a Disney Gator. I think the buildup is there. It's time for you to execute is what it comes down to. Are there going to be some holes and things that have to still, guys are going to have to step up? Absolutely. Especially if you don't fill in some of the needs that we've talked about in the portal. But all in all, I think you got to, if that's the case, you didn't go aggressive enough because you trust your recruiting, you trust the people you put around you, it's time to be that guy. It's time to be about it. Scare money, don't make money. So happy with the running back coach is coming back. Absolutely muddy. Mudkin says, of course, Dan Mullen snuck his way in there. Look, that team, UNLV, would finish. I mean, they played in their conference championship, and have been pretty aggressive in the portal, so didn't lose too much outside of a coach. And obviously, Dan Mullen carries a lot of credit, so shouldn't be ranked, need to earn it. Fair enough. I mean, a lot of things happen, right? A lot of movements happen. Teams that may have earned a ranking last year have a massive overhaul. Like Boise State was ranked, but they're losing everybody. So you're not going to rank Boise State just because of how they finished last year, right? So you got to take those things into consideration. I think Georgia's a little overrated, personally. I don't think they're bringing enough back. In my eyes, I think there's going to be a little bit of a fall off there. Alabama, I think they've got the talent to get it done. There's going to be, I think, a little bit of a dip. Penn State should be ranked much higher, especially with Drew Allen and the hype behind him. Personally, I think Clemson's in a perfect spot. Notre Dame, question mark there, because we don't know what's going to happen with that quarterback position. Marcus Room may not be there. So again, it's way, way too early, right? These things could change dramatically. I think Miami is sitting in a good spot. SMU sitting in a good spot. I think you could probably knock up South Carolina, probably a little bit higher, to be honest with you. I know, Kimpo, I still believe you can't win a natty with Billy. It's how you spelled Shelton resign versus resign. Oh, how did I spell it? Am I a dumbhead? Oh, resign. I see what I did there. I'll fix it. Good call. Appreciate that. Good looks, fan. Good looks. Grammar was never my strong, so you boy knows that. You've been here for a while. You know I'm an idiot. Y'all boy knows I'm an idiot. Yeah, August reign is over. Look, it's frustrating because I want to have a genuine conversation about this, and I know it's going to come off as me being bitter about it, but I'm not. I think there is some question marks. I think a lot of people have trusted in Kirby to kind of do the job. I think he has done a good job, but maybe kind of got the ego ahead of him. Again, he's lost a lot of great assistant coaches. That is something that Saban always did a good job of, was surrounded himself with great coaching, right? On top of being a great recruiter. Kirby has had great coaching to start off with and excelled in recruiting. Still excelling in recruiting, but there's starting to be a slow dip, a slow fall off in the coaching carousel around him, and maybe hasn't done the best of job of putting the best guys and filling in of the guys that left. I mean, think about the guys that all left. I mean, kudos to him. We've talked about it before. All these assistants, Hartman, drawing a blank. Is the same? Yeah, Sam Hartman. Yeah, Arkansas coach, Mel Tucker, Michigan State, Dan Lanning, Fran Brown. I mean, these guys were assistants getting head coach jobs. That's how great of a job they were doing in their assistant positions. So a lot of talent there. I think lost a couple more that I can't think of off the top of my dome. I don't follow Georgia that closely, but a lot of movement happening. I saw kind of a Georgia channel saying there is some movement to happen. So obviously they're not happy. I imagine Bobo takes a step back. So keep your eyes and ears peeled on that. Maybe kind of like the offensive analyst. I think he's definitely lost his opportunity. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to talk to Uncle Lou. I thought about that. And just, hey, have a conversation of the overall SEC. How does he feel about Georgia? He'll keep it a buck. Sam Pittman, yeah. That's what I thought. He'll keep it a buck and obviously take his jabs at Florida as well. But I think he'll look at it very reasonable. I know he's not completely sold on DJ. He's very hard on these young quarterbacks, but I'll kind of poke and prod at Gunnar Stockton as well. I would be concerned on the quarterback development. And he said that when he was on the show last time, that was a concern, and I think that's still going to be a concern. Once, again, this thing all closes and the coaching stuff settles, I think it'll be a good conversation. If they go out there and hire some certain OCs and other guys, he could have a maybe more optimistic look, and maybe he still does. I don't think that he will, but I think we'll see. Yeah, Kirby's experience, what Urban went through in 2010. Top 2 classes every year, but coaching went down. Losing Mullen, Strong, Gonzalez, and et cetera hurt Urban. Yeah, 100. It's exactly the same kind of blueprint. Again, this is where Saban was able to maintain the dynasty, if you will, because of the guys he put around him. He was really good at recycling those guys and, in a way, developing coaches, right? And making sure that these guys are keeping things in check. So, look, I mean, Kirby can flip the switch. Well, it's still not out of it, but not hopefully. Again, speaking non-biasedly, for Kirby's sake, he needs to turn that thing around as quickly as possible. Easy there, Walker. What are we doing? Hopefully. That's my bad. I'm going to get roasted for that. Well, boys, good to see you on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. If anything else kind of pops off, you'll know we'll be here rock and rolling. So turn the bell on, subscribe. 377 strong on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Always fires me up. Good to see y'all, boys. As always, we love you. Stay good. Stay safe. Peace and love, baby.